Hey. Last month, my good friend Albert and I had the incredible opportunity to create a piece for the main event. If you haven't heard about it before, the main event is pretty much the biggest showcase for hip-hop choreographers in Vancouver's dance community, and I've had the pleasure of filming this event for the past few years now. Albert was really eager to submit this time around, so he reached out to me and we decided to make this our next collab. Now, both of us were pretty booked up and could only spare a few nights to make our submission work. With so much on our plates already, we agreed that our goal for this at minimum was to just submit something. I do personally make a bad habit of stopping myself whenever I feel like I'm not quite ready for something, so having a friend like Albert to keep me accountable is a blessing. Us getting recognized on the stage like this would be huge, but we made sure not to worry about getting accepted, and that made it much easier to just focus on creating the best submission possible. So we met on a call and discussed our ideas. His idea was to make it this conflict between rock music and dubstep, wherein we'd slowly realize their similarities and just see how well they blend together. And based off his idea, I asked him if he wanted to dance with these are the Godox TL60s. They're pretty much your standard RGB tube light. I picked up a few of these a couple of years ago, and they quickly became a staple part in my filmmaking kit. They're battery powered, fully RGB, and not gonna lie, I went an embarrassingly long time before finding out that there's an app that you can use to control them. Finding out about this app is what gave me the idea to dance with them in our set. So we put together a sick cast of friends, made and sent into submission, then a few days later we were asked to be in the show. This is great news, of course, but this is also when I realized I'm now filming and performing at this event. We can talk about my poor planning and how I juggled all of that in another video, but for now, I thought I'd just share with you the process and how I developed a method to make all of this work. First, let's talk about these lights. These tube lights come in a few sizes. The ones that I have at this point are the TL60s, which are the 2-foot version, and I just recently picked up a 4-light kit of the TL120s. And all of these tube lights are compatible with the Godox Light app. It literally says it right here, and I managed to miss it somehow. Everything in the current lineup of Godox video lights works with this app as well, so you can have a control center for pretty much an entire scene. I especially enjoy being able to make groups of lights and controlling them all at once. It's very nice not having to walk up to each individual light to make just the little changes on them. I am very obsessed with these because of how flexible they are. Each tube is incredibly bright, and the battery life can last you upwards of 2.5 hours. With just the 4-light kit of the TL120s, I'm pretty much set for any type of lighting situation that I need to set up. But the app doesn't have any sort of programming page to create a sequence and send precise lighting cues. It is a bit of a bummer, but for everything else they're capable of, I really can't complain. But back to the main event. Sure, we didn't have a way to automate these lights, but I was not gonna let that stop us. Which led me to this thought. Is there a program that could record the gestures and actions that I do on my phone? If I'm able to record the exact commands I want to happen, then I would have an automated, repeatable sequence, and we'd be set. Here's what I figured out. After a bunch of dead ends and some less trustworthy looking sites of the internet, I stumbled upon this program. Macro Recorder, which is just a standard keystroke recording software, ended up being the best option in our case. The program lets me easily record sequences of actions and has tools like the ability to search the screen for a specific image or a piece of text before performing the next action. And this was the breakthrough that I needed, because from here, all I'd have to do was get something like an Android emulator to run the Godox app, and then use the Macro Recorder program to run everything for me. Once I found out that most Android emulators don't handle Bluetooth devices, I researched and found a program called Scrispy, which I think is an Android developer tool that allowed me to mirror my phone screen onto my laptop. And luckily, I still had my old Android on hand and was able to set everything up on there. From this point, it was just a matter of painstakingly putting in these commands and making little adjustments to get the timing exactly right, which is when my last issue came up. The set itself was 4 minutes long, and just having the lights running on autopilot the whole time was frightening. I ran into many issues where just milliseconds of difference would ruin the timing of a full section of the song, and that's when it hit me. When you play a music file on your computer, there's a little timer for the seconds passing, and I was able to make some good use of that. Having the mix playing at the same time on my laptop could allow me to adjust each section separately. If a section fell apart completely, it would be able to recover itself at the next checkpoint. Alright, so it's the next day, and I decided to show you guys how the desktop looked when I was setting this up on side of stage. Here's how I had it laid out. Oh, I just realized I definitely do need the phone to... Sorry, phone is turning back on. There are 3 parts to make this whole system work. So first of all, there's the macro recorder program. And with this program, I'm able to set up a sequence of commands, run it back in real time, and make all these very precise changes to the timing to navigate through the Godox Lite app. So I had the macro recorder placed on the top right. I had a special version of my main event mix that cut out the initial intro, because in the beginning of the song, we had one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like in rock bands, drummers. I labeled it Let Go because it's actually what I needed to do to get the timing correct. Actually press play on it, drag it back. After the 1, 2, 3, 4, on 1, I let go. As you can see, there was no delay with that, and it was able to get the timing of the music playing to match the music playing live on the speakers. And then the last part is the Skursky program that I mentioned before. In this system, again, I have connection to the phone. The reason this step is necessary is because a lot of Android emulators do not have connectivity to Bluetooth devices. Of course, that's a huge part of the whole setup. So this is basically the screen. As you can see in the app, I have the ability to just click on any button, navigate through this whole menu. It does get a little difficult with some movements, like having to drag across and then switch over to the effects tab, and then back and forth to the color temperature tab. I was able to copy and paste the command after a few times of doing it, so let's load up the exact timeline. You see here, it's called the main event, and it's music timed. Here's a list of all the commands. For the whole 4-minute set, it has about 349 actions. Steps along the way that, again, helped out a lot is the ability to search the screen for text. So in cases like this here, I had it searching for the value 38, basically, because that was what this number would show up as around the 2:18-minute mark. And for extra peace of mind, at the beginning, I had it go through this sort of like power-up setup sequence. It went through all of the different lights, turned them to the correct settings, and then powered them off to wait for their exact cue. Yeah, and then pretty much the steps from here were straightforward. It was just running the command with Control 3. Running the command with Control 3, it was able to, again, here it goes, it's checking every single light, going through the individual settings and getting them set up perfectly for what I need. To recap here, the phone was connected by Bluetooth to every single light. The phone was running the Godox app, which I had screen mirrored to my laptop. And then with my laptop mirroring this screen, I was able to use Macro Recorder to put in the exact commands when I wanted them to, and with the music playing back at the same time, I had a reliable way of getting things right on beat. The day of the show rolled around and I was anxious. A lot was riding on this working out perfectly, and without it, a lot of the sections in our set would fall flat. Throughout the day, we were definitely catching people's attention. During tech runs, we got a lot of curious questions, and despite everything feeling like it was falling apart around me, everything went flawlessly. And we danced it better than any practice run before. Now, why would you want to do this, and why am I even talking about this super niche concept? Other than the obvious reason of dancing in what is your biggest performance to date, and one that you won't ever forget probably for the rest of your life, I see plenty of creative applications for this. Even a very simple sequence with this method would be great for music videos, short films, and any time that you need a few extra hands on set when none are available. Now, disclaimer, I totally understand that this is way too much work for anyone else, so if you do take anything away from this video, I'd want it to be this. This is my reminder to you that if you're feeling stuck, you're in a rut, and things are not working out how you wanted them to, it's not because you're incapable of it. What's happening is you've been given the opportunity to try out something new and approach things differently. There were plenty of steps along the way where I was left feeling defeated and really strongly considered changing our whole idea completely for something more realistic. I know that at times our ideas can get the better of us and just seem so out of reach, but a creative problem requires creative solutions. Be fair to yourself and know that it's okay to step away for a bit and refresh. and then try it again with a new perspective. With all that being said, if you do end up setting this up for yourself, or if you have your own story of creative problem solving, I would love to hear about it. If you have any questions and do want to see a more detailed explanation for the method, then leave a comment. I'm more than happy to share. Be sure to check out the next videos I'm releasing. There's going to be a lot more content like this where I just speak my mind and share things about my process. Thank you so much for checking out this video and just sticking around to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.